Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Theruvan Saranai. Good evening, Venerable Mahasangha, Sayales, and dear brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today we are going to start on a new triplet, PītiTika. Although it is a new triplet, you will see that most of these terms are very familiar to you because we have covered them under the Vedana Tika. So first we will look at the three terms that comes under PītiTika or Zest triplet. Pītisahagatā dhammā, states that are accompanied by Zest. Sukhasahagatā dhammā, states that are accompanied by ease, and upekkhāsahagatā dhammā, states that are accompanied by indifference. So the description given in the Atthasālinī is what is given here. So basically the PītiTika is, if you take the first term, pītisahagatā dhammā, it means whatever Dhamma or whatever states that have in common, what they have in common is that they are all accompanied by Zest or Pīti. And Pīti is a mental factor which is under the, the 13 Anyasamana Cetasika. So Pīti comes under that category, under the Pakinnaka, under the 6 Pakinnaka Cetasika. So the first term includes all the dhammas, all the states that are accompanied by Pīti. Then the second term, sukhasahagatā dhamma, sukha is with reference to the feeling of pleasure. So everything that has a pleasurable feeling is categorized under the second term. And the last term is upekkhāsahagatā dhamma, and this is again feeling, but which is indifference, feeling of indifference. So anything that is accompanied by indifference, that is considered under the last term. Now, you might be wondering why there is a separate tika as PītiTika when we have already covered 2 of these terms under the Vedana Tika. Now, in the Vedana Tika, if you recall what 3 terms we had sukhaya sampayutta, and then dukkhaya sampayutta, and adukkama sukhaya sampayutta dhamma. Now, those 3 were covering the pleasurable feeling, the painful, and the neutral feeling. Now, here we have taken out the painful feeling and brought in Pīti or Zest into the triplet. Now, this is to show that there is a difference between neutral feeling as well as pleasurable feeling, and even pleasurable feeling can occur with Pīti or with Zest as well as without Zest. It is to show that distinction of pleasures, different types of pleasures. That is why it is brought in again under this triplet. Right. So we will talk about the contents of this towards the end of the talk. And now we will move on to our first term, pītisahagatā dhamma, states accompanied by Zest. So we'll look at the description of the Nikkepa Khandam or the summary section. Katame dhamma pītisahagatā, which are the states that are accompanied by Zest. Pīti bhūmiya, arising in the soil yielding Zest. Again, this is similar to the bhumi that we spoke about under the previous triplets. So here the soil or bhumi is with reference to the particular consciousness. So what are these consciousness? We have, they originate in the kāmāvacara, rūpāvacara, and apariyapanna. The 3 spheres of sense sphere, fine material, and unincluded spheres. So again, note that we don't get the immaterial sphere, the arupavachara bhumi, because all arupavachara consciousness and mental factors are accompanied by upekkhā vedana. And upekkhā is a type of feeling which is not associated with zest. Pīti tapetva. Pīti tapetva means excluding zest. Tang sampayutto vedanakkhando sankharakkhandō, saññakkhando, sankharakkhando, and viññānakkhandō. Associated therewith are the aggregates of feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. The four nāmakkhanda, or the four mental aggregates. Ime dhammā pītisahagatā. These are the states that are accompanied by zest. And now moving on to the commentary chapter, the Atthakatha Khanda. Kathame dhammā pītisahagatā, which are the states that are associated with zest. Kāmāvaccara kusalato chattaro, somanasasahagata chittupada. The four sense sphere, wholesome risings of consciousness accompanied by joy. Now, as you know, under the Kāmāvaccara sphere, we get 8 kusala chitta, 8 wholesome consciousness. Under those 8, we get 4 which are sukhasahagatā and 4 which are upekkhāsahagatā. So here we are considering the 4 wholesome risings of consciousness that is accompanied by joy. Akusalato chattaro, the 4 unwholesome states. Now here, which 4 unwholesome states are we taking? We are taking the 4 lobha chitta which are accompanied by joy. Kāmāvaccara kusalassa vipākato pancha. Kāmāvaccara kusalassa vipākato pancha. The 5 sense sphere wholesome resultants. And how we get the 5 is we get 4 from the Mahāvipāka and 1 from the Ahetuka kusala vipāka, which is the somanasasahagata santirna chitta. Kiriyato pancha. So we get 4 kriya chitta from the Mahakriya and 1 we get from the Ahetuka lot, which is the Hasitupada chitta. Rūpāvaccara dukkha tika jhana kusalatocha vipākatocha kiryatocha. 2 or 3 wholesome resultant and functional jhana of the fine material sphere. Lokuttara dukkha tika jhana kusalatocha vipākatocha. 2 or 3 wholesome and wholesome resultant jhana of the supramundane sphere. Now these two phrases I will describe in the next slide. Etuppanna pīti tapetva, excluding zest arising therewith. Ime dhammā pītisahagatā. These are the states that are associated with zest. So the states that we get under this term are 51 consciousness accompanied by zest and 46 cetasika, excluding pīti, dosa, issa, maccariyan, kukucchang, and vicikiccha. Now let's talk about what we left out before. What is meant by 2 or 3 jhana? So it was mentioned Rūpāvaccara dukkha tika jhana and Lokuttara dukkha tika jhana kusalatocha vipākatocha likewise. So what really is meant here is we are considering the 4 and 5 jhana system here. So under the jhana systems, if you take the 4 jhana system, we get under the first jhana vitakka vichara pīti sukha ekagrata. Second jhana we get vitakka vichara, we don't get vitakka, we get vichara pīti sukha ekagrata. Then by the third jhana, vitakka vichara both are eliminated and we get pīti sukha ekagrata. And after the 4th jhana, 4th and 5th jhana do not have pīti. So if it's the 5 jhana system, we take the first 3 jhanas. If it's the 4 jhana system, the first jhana is the same. You get all 5 jhana factors. The second jhana, we eliminate both vitakka and vichara. And then by the third jhana, pīti is also eliminated. So under the 4 jhana system, we take only two jhanas, the first and second jhanas only. So this is what is meant by 2 or 3 jhana. So 2 jhana with reference to the 4 jhana system. We are taking only the first and second jhanas. And the 3 is with reference to the 5 jhana system, where we take the first, second, and third jhanas. Because everything beyond that do not have Pīti. And this is how we get 2 or 3 jhana under Rupavachara and Lokuttara. And then the next difference. Here under Rupavachara, it is given as Kusalatocha, Vipakatocha, Kiriyatocha. But under Lokuttara, we have only Kusalatocha and Vipakatocha. That is because under Lokuttara, under the supramundane sphere, we do not get Kriya Chitta. That is why the word Kiriyatocha is not mentioned here. So this slide describes what I mentioned before. The 2 jhana systems are given here, and what we have highlighted using yellow, the yellow box, are what is meant here by the 2 or 3 jhana. So under the 5 jhana system, we get the first 3 jhanas because all of them are accompanied by Pīti. Whereas the 4th and 5th jhanas are not accompanied by Pīti, so we don't classify them under this term. And then if you look at the 4 jhana system, we get only the first 2, because by the time we move on to the 3rd and 4th jhana, Pīti is eliminated. So therefore, we get only 2 jhanas from the 4 jhana system. So this is the Rupavachara Dukkha Tika jhana as well as the Lokuttara Dukkha Tika jhana. Now we move on to the question, why is Pīti excluded from this term? Now, Pīti is a mental factor, and it is accompanied, or it accompanies the consciousness and other Cetasika, excluding Pīti. And each consciousness has only one Pīti Cetasika. Therefore, Pīti cannot be associated with Pīti, because there is only one Pīti in each consciousness. So therefore, we have to exclude Pīti from this term, because what this term describes is whatever states that are accompanied by Pīti. So Pīti cannot be accompanied by itself, which is why we have to exclude it from this term. Now we move on to another question. Why are doso, issa, macchariyan, kukkuccang excluded from this term? Now, dosa, issa, macchariyan, kukkucca are mental factors that are exclusively associated with dosa, the 2 dosa chitta, the hatred-rooted consciousness. And dosa chitta, we know, are associated with domanassa vedana, displeasure. And you can never have displeasure arising together with zest or rapture. So for that reason, dosa, issa, macchariyan, kukkucca are 4 mental factors that can never be associated with zest. Hence, they are excluded from this triplet, from this term. Actually, they are excluded from this triplet as well, because the next 2 terms are sukhasahagatā and upekkhāsahagatā. And then vicikicca is also excluded from this term. That is because vicikicca is a mental factor that is exclusively arising together with the vicikicca chitta, the delusion-rooted consciousness. And that is a mohamula chitta, which is associated with upekkhā vedana. So for this reason, we exclude 6 mental factors from this term: Pīti, dosa, issa, macchariya, kukkucca, and vicikicca. Now this diagram gives us an overview of the different consciousness that are pītisahagatā, or accompanied by joy. And we have colored in dark gray the different consciousness that are accompanied by zest. So under the Kamavachara, we get 18 consciousness, and under unwholesome, we have Lobha, the 4 Lobha consciousness that are accompanied by joy. And under rootless, we get 2. One from the Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka, that is the Somanasasahagatā Santirana Chitta. And under Ahetuka Kriya, we get the Hasitupada Chitta. Then under the Soban or beautiful consciousness, we get exactly half, 12 consciousness out of the 24. And that is because half of these, 4 Kusala, 4 Vipaka, and 4 Kriya, are accompanied by joy, whereas the remaining 12 consciousness are accompanied by upekkhā or indifference. Then under the fine material sphere, we'll look at only the 5 jhana system here to avoid confusion. So under the 5 jhana system, we get the first 3 jhanas. So we get the first 3 kusala, the first 3 vipaka, and the first 3 kriya chittas. Altogether, we get 9 consciousness. We don't get any arupavachara chitta here because they are all 5th jhana consciousness, and they are all accompanied by upekkhā vedana. And finally, under the supramundane sphere, we get 24. Now, how we get 24 is because, again, we are taking the first 3 jhanas. So, under the first jhana, we will get 4 magga. So, how do we get those 4? We get the sotapanna, sakadagami, anagami, and arahat. So, those 4 from the first jhana, again, another 4 from the second jhana, another 4 from the third jhana. So altogether, we get 12 magga. Similarly, we get 12 phala. And when we add all of these, we get 51 consciousness out of a total of 121 consciousness. So note that this is only considering the 5 jhana system. Now we move on to the second term, sukhasahagatā dhammā, states accompanied by ease. First, we will look at the Nikkepa Khanda. Now, this term is identical to Sukhaya Vedanaya Sampayutta Dhamma. Therefore, I'm not going to go into great detail. We will go through this kind of like an overview or like revision. So, which are the states associated with ease? Sukha bhumyang, arising in pleasurable soil, in 3 bhumis, kamavachara, rupavachara, apariyapana, the sense sphere, fine material, and unincluded spheres. Sukhang vedanam tapetva, excluding pleasurable feeling, and associated therewith the 3 aggregates of perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Now, in the previous one, pītisahagatā dhammā, we took it as 4 aggregates, but here it is only 3 because what we have taken out as the subject matter is sukhasahagatā dhammā. In other words, the feeling of pleasure. So when you take pleasure and ask what is accompanied by it, you can't take pleasure as being accompanied by itself, which is why we are left with only 3 aggregates here that are associated with or accompanied by. Ime dhamma sukhasahagatā dhammā. So now, if you look at the Pali text and compare it with Sukhaya Vedanaya Sampayutta Dhamma, except for this first sentence and this last sentence, the inner content is identical, which is why I have brought together both these terms here. The 2 descriptions given under the Atthakatha Khandam of Sukhaya Vedanaya Sampayutta Dhamma and Sukhasahagatā Dhamma are identical. So how we describe it here is Kāmāvachara Kusalato Chattaro Somanasasahagata Chittupada. Akusalato Chattaro. Kāmāvachara Kusalassa Vipākatocha Kiryatocha Pancha. Rupavachara tika chatukka jhana kusalatocha vipakatocha kiriyatocha. Now, if you recall what we described under Pīti Sahagatā Dhamma, this is very much similar. There is only a very small difference. Now, here, under Kāmavachara Kusalasa Vipakatocha, the Kāmavachara Kusala Vipaka, that is one place which differs between pītisahagatā and sukhasahagatā, because under pītisahagatā, we took it as five vipaka. So how we got the five? Well, we got 4 mahavipaka, which are accompanied by joy, and we got 1 vipaka chitta from the ahetuka, the somanasasahagata santirana. But here a number is not given. That is because they have included all the sukhasahagatā kāmavachara kusala vipaka, which means there is another one included here to make it a total of 6. And that is the sukhasahagatā kaya viññāna chitta. So that is one difference between pītisahagatā Dhamma and sukhasahagatā Dhamma. This particular phrase, kāmavachara kusalassa vipaka tocha. Kiriyatocha pancha, the 5 sense spheres functionals, that is the same. So we get 4 mahakriya and 1 ahetuka kriya, which is the hasitupada. Next, when we move on to this phrase, rupavachara tika chatukka jhana. And then the next, lokuttara tika chatukka jhana. Again, that is another difference between pītisahagatā and sukhasahagatā Dhamma. Under pītisahagatā, we said it was dukkha tika jhana, 2 or 3. But here it is 3 or 4. So we'll talk about it in the next slide. Ettuppanna sukham vedanam tapetva, except pleasurable feeling arising therewith. Ime dhamma sukhasahagatā dhamma. These are the states accompanied by ease. And again, as I mentioned before, this is identical, the center portion of it is identical to Sukhaya Vedanaya Sampayutta Dhamma. Right, so to describe the tika chatukka jhana, under Sukhasahagatā Dhamma, we will get the 4th jhana as well, because the 4th jhana under the 5 jhana system is also Sukhasahagatā. So from the 4 jhana system, we will get 4 jhanas, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And if we consider the 4 jhana system, the first 3 jhana are sukhasahagatā. Therefore, we will get 3 jhanas from the 4 jhana system. And that is how we get 3 and 4 from the 2 jhana systems. And that is the other difference that we saw between pītisahagatā and sukhasahagatā Dhamma. The difference in these jhanas will make that difference in the numbers that we take under each term. So now let's look at sukhasahagatā Dhamma. What ultimate realities are classified under them? So we get under the 4 jhana system 52, or commonly what we use is the 5 jhana system, we get 63 Sukhaya Vedanaya or Sukhasahagatā Chitta. We get 19 Kāmavachara, Rupavachara 9 or 12, depending on whether we are using the 4 jhana system or the 5 jhana system. And that is how we get 3 or 4 Kusala, Vipaka and Kriya. Under Lokuttara, we get 24 or 32, again, because we are considering the 4 and 5 jhana systems here. So we get 3 or 4 Kusala and Vipaka, Phala Chitta. And we get 46 Chetasika, excluding Vedana, Dosa, Issa, Machariya, Kukkucha and Vichikicha. Now, the previous term, pītisahagatā dhammā, we said excluding pīti, dosa, issa, machariya, kukkucca, and vicikicca. There Vedana was included to that term. However, here, because Vedana is the principal subject that we are considering, we have to exclude it from this term. Now, this is a breakdown of the 19 Kāmāvachara Chitta. So, under the unwholesome, akusala, we get 4 Lobha Chitta, which are accompanied by joy. And then moving on to the ahetuka, rootless, under ahetuka kusala vipaka, we get 2. The somanasa-sahagata santirna, as well as the sukhasahagatā kaya viññāna. And under ahetuka kriya, we get hasitu pada. Then under the beautiful, we get exactly half of it. So out of the 24, we get 12 chitta, 4 kusala, 4 vipaka, and 4 kriya, which are accompanied by joy. And those are basically the 19 Kāmāvachara chitta that we classify under sukhasahagatā dhammā. So this chart gives us an overview of the 63 consciousness that are classified under sukhasahagatā dhammā, and in dark gray we have given all the sukhasahagatā consciousness. So we have already described the sense sphere. So under fine material sphere, we get 4. Now remember, this is according to the 5 jhana system. So we get the first 4 jhanas, the kusala, vipaka, and kriya. Therefore, we get 12 consciousness there. We don't get any immaterial sphere, arupavachara, because they are all upekkhāsahagatā. And under supramundane, again, we get the first 4 jhanas, because this is the 5 jhana system that we are considering. So accordingly, we get 16 magga and 16 phala. And how we get 16? Under the first jhana, we get 4. And likewise, second jhana, another 4, third jhana, another 4, fourth jhana, another 4. So altogether, we get 16 magga. Likewise, similarly, we get 16 phala consciousness. Altogether, we get 32 lokuttara or supramundane consciousness. And in total, we get 63 sukhasahagatā consciousness. Now we move on to the third term, upekkhāsahagatā dhammā, states accompanied by indifference. Now again, this term is identical to adukkhama sukhaya vedanaya sampayutta dhammā. So the only thing that is different is the name of the term. The core or the body of the text of both the Nikkepa and the Atthakatha description is the same under both these terms. So let's first look at Kathame Dhamma upekkhāsahagatā, which are the states that are accompanied by indifference. Upekkhā bhūmiya, arising in a soil favorable to indifference. Again, this is with reference to the consciousness that is accompanied by upekkhā. So where do we find this consciousness? Kāmāvachare, rūpāvachare, arūpāvachare, and apariyapanne. So basically, all 4 spheres. Upekkhāṃ tapetva, excluding upekkhā or indifference. Tam sampayutto, saññā, sankhāra, and viññāna khandho. Associated therewith, we get only 3 aggregates out of the 4 mental aggregates, because Vedana is taken out as the subject. Therefore, Vedana is accompanied by Saññā, Sankhāra, and Viññāna. We can't take Vedana as being accompanied by itself. Ime Dhamma upekkhāsahagatā. These are the states accompanied by indifference. So I have put this slide for your reference, so you can compare the two, upekkhāsahagatā and adukkhama sukhaya vedanaya sampayutta dhamma, and you will see that it is only the name of the term that is different, but the content or the description is identical under both terms. So now moving on to the commentary chapter after Katha Khandam. Katame Dhamma upekkhāsahagatā, which are the states accompanied by indifference. So here we get 4 sense sphere wholesome risings of consciousness accompanied by equanimity. Now this is with reference to the 4 Maha Kusala, which are upekkhāsahagatā. The 6 unwholesome. Now, how do we get 6 unwholesome? We get 4 lobha, which are upekkhāsahagatā, and we get the 2 moha chitta, which are also upekkhā. And in total, we get 6 unwholesome consciousness. The 10 sense sphere wholesome resultants. Now, how do we get 10 wholesome resultants? So, we know that if you take the Mahavipaka, we get 4 Mahavipaka, and then under the Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka, we get Chakku Sota Gana Jibha. Those 4 are associated or accompanied by Upekkhā. So now we get altogether 4 plus 4, 8. And then another 2. What are those 2? We get a upekkhāsahagatā sampatichana and an upekkhāsahagatā santirana consciousness. Altogether, we get 10 sense sphere wholesome resultants. 6 unwholesome resultants. Now, we know that out of the ahetuka, out of the akusala vipaka, we have a total of 7. 6 out of the 7 are upekkhā. 1 is dukkhasahagatā. So here we take the 6 upekkhāsahagatā akusala vipaka, unwholesome resultants, and 6 functionals. So under Maha Kriya, we get 4 upekkhāsahagatā consciousness, and under the ahetuka section, we get 2. And which are the 2? We get Manudvara Vajjana and Panchadvara Vajjana. Now that is how we get the Kāmavachara consciousness. Next, under Rūpavachara, Rūpavacharang Chatuttang Jnanam Kusalatocha Vipakatocha Kiryatocha. Here they are talking only about one jhana system. It's actually the 4 jhana system. So they are talking about the fine material sphere, 4th jhana, wholesome resultant, and functionals. Here they are not considering the 5 jhana system. Next, Chattaro Aruppa Kusalatocha Vipakatocha Kiryatocha. The 4 immaterial sphere, wholesome resultant, and functionals. Lokuttara, the supramundane sphere, again, the description is similar to the Rūpavachara. Here again, they are considering the 4th jhana, wholesome resultants. Ettupanna upekkhāṃ tapetva, excluding upekkhā, arising therewith, ime dhamma upekkhāsahagatā. These are the states accompanied by indifference. So this is the description given under Adukkama Sukhaya Vedanaya Sampayutta Dhamma. And if you compare the 2, upekkhāsahagatā Dhamma and this slide, you will find that the contents are identical in the 2. Now, what are the states that we classify under upekkhāsahagatā Dhamma? Here we get 55 upekkhāsahagatā chitta. And they belong to all 4 spheres. Under Kāmavachara, we get 4 kusala. Now, these are basically the Maha Kusala, the 4 Maha Kusala, Maha Vipaka, and Maha Kriya. And then we get 4 lobha, 2 moha. Under Ahetuka, we get 6 akusala vipaka, 6 ahetuka kusala vipaka, and 2 ahetuka kriya. Rūpavachara, we get 1 of each, kusala vipaka and kriya, because we are considering only the last jhana, the 5th jhana, according to the 5 jhana system, or the 4th jhana according to the 4 jhana system. And we get all arupavachara chitta, the 4 kusala, 4 vipaka, and 4 kriya. Under Lokuttara, we get 4 kusala and 4 vipaka, and these are the last jhana. So depending on your jhana system, it could be the 4th jhana or the 5th jhana. Together with them, we get 46 chetasika, and this is excluding Vedana, Pīti, Dosa, Issa, Machariya, and Kukkucca. Right. So now this diagram gives us the upekkhāsahagatā dhammā, and they are given as gray or dark gray. So as you can see, we get upekkhāsahagatā dhammā classified under all 4 spheres. Under unwholesome, we basically get 4 out of the 8 lobha. We don't get any dosa because they are domanassa sagata, and the 2 moha. Under rootless, we get 6 out of the 7 akusala vipaka, 6 out of the 8 ahetuka kusala vipaka, and 2 out of the 3 ahetuka kriya. And we get exactly half of the sobana, beautiful, or the maha kusala vipaka and kriya. So altogether we get 12 there. Under rupavachara, we get 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5, depending on the jhana system that you are considering. So we get 3 consciousness classified under rupavachara. We get all 12 arupavachara chitta. And finally, under lokuttara, we get 4 magga and 4 phala. So make note that you have to consider the jhana, and depending on which jhana system you use, it will either be the 4th jhana or the 5th jhana. Now, under the commentary chapter, there is another description that is given. Now, let's look at this, and basically what is mentioned here are the dhammas or the states that are not included under the PītiTika. So let's look at them one by one. Pīti na pītisahagatā, sukhasahagatā na upekkhāsahagatā. So here what they're saying is Zest or Pīti, mental factor, is not accompanied by Pīti. It is accompanied by ease, but not accompanied by indifference. Sukham na sukhasahagatā, siya pītisahagatā, na upekkhāsahagatā, siya na vattabbam pītisahagatanti. Now here they are talking about sukha vedana or sukham, ease. Ease is not accompanied by ease. It's obvious. There is only one sukha vedana in each consciousness, so it cannot be accompanied by itself. Ease may be accompanied by zest. Ease is not accompanied by indifference or upekha. So that is understood. If you have ease or sukha vedana, pleasurable feeling, associated with a certain consciousness, at the same time you will not have upekha. You will not have indifference. Therefore, you will never find sukha being associated or accompanied by indifference. Then the next part, siya navattabbam pītisahagatanti. Ease should also not be stated as accompanied by zest. Now, what does that mean? Now, at one place we are saying that it is accompanied by Pīti, and again we are saying that we must say that it is, we must also state it as not being accompanied by zest. Now again here we have to consider 12 consciousness. The sukhasahagatā kāya viññāna. Sukhasahagatā kāya viññāna is associated with 7 mental factors. These are the 7 universal mental factors. So sukhasahagatā kāya viññāna is one of those consciousness which is not accompanied by zest. So that is one consciousness. However, it is accompanied by sukha vedana. So that is one sukha vedana that we are considering here, which is not accompanied by zest. Next, if you look at the jhanas, the rupavachara and the lokuttara jhana, under the 5 jhana system, the third jhana is accompanied by zest. The fourth jhana does not have pīti, but it has sukha. So this fourth jhana under the 5 jhana system is another consciousness which has sukha but does not have pīti. So that sukha, if you consider that particular sukha, it is not accompanied by zest. So likewise, if you take the rupavachara, 4th jhana, we get 3 consciousness, the kusala, vipaka and kriya. And under lokuttara, we get 8 consciousness, 4 magga and 4 phala, 4th jhana consciousness. Altogether, those 12 consciousness has a sukha vedana which is not accompanied by zest. And it is with reference to those that it is mentioned here as ease should also not be stated as accompanied by zest. Then the next one, dve domanasa sahagata chittupada, dukkhasahagatā kaya viññāna, yacha vedana upekkhā. The 2 risings of consciousness accompanied by displeasure, the 2 dosa mula, chitta and their associated mental factors. The dukkhasahagatā kaya viññāna, body consciousness accompanied by pain and its associated mental factors. And yacha vedana upekkhā, feeling of indifference, upekkhā vedana. All of these ultimate realities are not associated or not accompanied by zest. And then finally, all rupa nibbānañca, the final state of deliverance, nibbana. All of these are considered here. Ime dhammā navatthabba pītisahagatā tīpi, sukhasahagatā tīpi, upekkhāsahagatā tīpi. So from here, from dve domanasa sahagata chittupada until nibbana, all of these are excluded from this triplet. These states should not be stated as accompanied by zest, accompanied by ease, or accompanied by indifference. So we will look at these one by one in the next couple of slides so that it will be easier for you to understand. Now let's look at those one by one. Pīti na pītisahagatā, sukhasahagatā na upekkhāsahagatā. Zest is not accompanied by zest, this should be is accompanied by ease and not accompanied by indifference. Now, if you look at a certain consciousness associated with pīti, there is only one pīti mental factor associated with it. So if you take the pīti mental factor, there isn't another pīti for it to be associated with. For that reason, we say pīti is not accompanied by pīti. So pīti is not accompanied by zest. Now, pīti can arise together with 51 out of the 63 sukhasahagatā dhammā. So those pīti are accompanied by sukha. At the same time, pīti does not arise together with upekkhā. Therefore, we say pīti is not accompanied by upekkhā because pīti is, it goes very closely with pleasurable feeling. You can't have Pīti arising together with indifference. It is not compatible. That is why we say Pīti or Zest is not accompanied by Zest, is accompanied by ease, and not accompanied by indifference. Sukhaṃ na sukhasahagatā siya pīti sukhaṃ na upekkhāsahagatā siya navattabbā pītisahagatā. Now here we are talking about ease or the pleasurable feeling. Ease is another word given for pleasurable feeling. So ease is not accompanied by ease. Why is that? Each consciousness has only one feeling mental factor. And ease is also with reference to pleasurable feeling. So because there is only one pleasurable feeling associated with one consciousness, you can't have ease or sukhaṃ being accompanied by another sukhaṃ. That will not happen. That is why we say ease is not accompanied by ease. Next we say ease is not accompanied by indifference. So ease, again, sukhaṃ is basically pleasurable feeling. And with one consciousness, we get only one type of feeling, either pleasurable or displeasure or indifference. Whichever way, we get only one kind of feeling associated with each consciousness. Therefore, you can't have pleasurable feeling or sukhaṃ being accompanied by upekkhā. That also is not compatible. It will not happen. Therefore, we say ease is not accompanied by indifference. Next, here it is mentioned ease is accompanied by zest. And again, right at the end, we say ease should also not be stated as accompanied by zest. Now, it seems a bit conflicting. At one time, we are saying ease is accompanied by zest. Then again, we are saying we should also say that ease is not accompanied by zest. So to understand this, we have to look at the 63 Sukhaya Vedanaya Sampayutta, Sukhasahagatā consciousness. Out of the 63 Sukhasahagatā consciousness, only 51 are accompanied by zest. So the pleasurable feeling, the sukhaṃ, that is associated with those 51 pītisahagatā consciousness can be called that they are accompanied by zest. However, out of the 63, we took only 51. The remaining 12 consciousness do not have pīti. So they are sukhasahagatā, but they are not accompanied by zest. And that is why we have divided sukhaṃ into two categories. 51 are pītisahagatā and 12 are not pītisahagatā. Now, this table gives us the differences between sukhasahagatā Dhamma and pītisahagatā Dhamma. I've classified it here because I wanted to point out which consciousness were taken out of this pītisahagatā Dhamma to make it 51. So basically, the 12 which are missing, to show that only I have given this slide. So under Kāmāvacara, here, 5 Kusala Vipāka, and under Sukhasahagatā, we get 6 Kusala Vipāka. Now, there is one difference here. So why there are 5? It's because the Sukhasahagatā Kāya Viññāna has only 7 universal mental factors. It doesn't have Pīti, which is why it is not included under pītisahagatā. But because it is sukhasahagatā, it is classified here. So therefore, we add it to this group. Then under rūpāvacara, we are missing one jhana from pītisahagatā. Because if you consider the 4th jhana, so here you get, now if you take the first jhana, we have vitakka, vichara, priti, sukha. Second jhana, no vitakka, vichara, priti, sukha, ekaggata. Then vitakka and vichara is taken out, pīti, sukha, ekaggata. Next one, pīti is taken out, sukha, ekaggata. So the fourth jhana, where you have sukha, ekaggata, that will be classified here under sukhasahagatā. But because it doesn't have pīti, it will not be classified here. So we are down to one less jhana. That is why it is, we have deducted one from each. Similarly, under Lokuttara, we are missing 4 from each, because the fourth jhana, Magga, and the fourth jhana, Phala, is taken out from this Kusala and Vipaka. So 4 each are taken out. And that is how we get the missing 12 consciousness. We get 3 from Rupavachara, 8 from Lokuttara, and 1 from Kāmavachara. And that is how we get the difference between sukhasahagatā and pītisahagatā Dhamma. So the next section gave us the 2 risings of consciousness accompanied by displeasure. These are the 2 dosa mula consciousness, as well as the mental factors associated with them. And the dukkhasahagatā kaya viññāna, the body consciousness accompanied by pain, as well as the feeling of indifference, upekkhā vedana, all rupa and nibbāna. All of these Dhamma states should not be stated as accompanied by zest, accompanied by ease, or accompanied by indifference. In other words, the ultimate realities that are listed here are excluded from this triplet. Now, if you look at the first 2, the 2 dosa chitta and the mental factors associated with them, these are accompanied by displeasure. So we can't call them associated with sukha or upekkhā. And because domanassa is never accompanied by zest or pīti, it cannot be categorized under any of the 3 terms that we have listed here. Similarly, dukkhasahagatā kaya viññāne, dukkha is again pain, painful feeling. So pain will never be associated with pīti. And pain is not associated with sukha or upekkhā. So it is very clear why the 2 domanassa sahagata chittuppada and the dukkha sahagata kaya viññāna is excluded from this triplet. Then what about upekkhā vedana? Now, under upekkhāsahagatā Dhamma, we got the 55 upekkhāsahagata chitta and the associated 46 mental factors. But there we excluded upekkhā vedana. This is because each consciousness is associated only with one vedana, only one feeling. So upekkhā vedana, or indifference feeling, cannot be associated with itself. For that reason, we say that upekkhā is not associated with upekkhā. At the same time, upekkhā is never associated with sukha, because you have only one feeling in each associated with each consciousness. So you will never see upekkhā being associated with sukha. And again, upekkhā is never associated with pīti. It is usually pleasurable feeling that is associated with pīti. So therefore, you can see very clearly upekkhā is not associated with pīti, not associated with sukha, and neither with upekkhā. Then rupa, all rupa and nibbāna. We never call rupa or nibbāna as being associated with a particular feeling or a particular sensation. You must always associate consciousness and mental factors with feelings. So the consciousness and mental factors are what are the things that we call being associated with each other or being accompanied by each other. But Rupa and Nibbana are not so. They are, they don't mix with the mind and the mental factors. Therefore, we don't call them, we don't classify them under any of these three terms. So basically, these are the dhammas that are excluded from this triplet. So PītiTika is basically called a sappadesa tika because it doesn't include all the ultimate realities. So sappadesa means selective or not inclusive. Here is a summary of everything that is not included in this triplet. So first, the pleasurable feeling or the sukha vedana of the 12 consciousness that are not accompanied by zest. Those were the sukhasahagatā kaya vijñāna and the 11 fourth jhana consciousness. And how we got the 11 was 3 from Rupavachara and 8 from Lokuttara. The 2 dosa chitta and the 22 mental factors. The body consciousness accompanied by pain and their associated 7 mental factors. Upekkhā vedana, and that is upekkhā vedana of all the 55 upekkhāsahagatā chitta, the 28 matter and nibbana. So we come to the end, and I would like to leave you with an exercise, and it's to categorize the analytical states of the PītiTika according to Khandha, Ayatana, Dhatu, and Arya Satya. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions today, but if you have any questions, you can direct them to this email address, or you can even drop any questions in the group chat. Is this a question in the chat?
Yes, doctor, there's a question in Chinese. Should we do that? Should we take that?
Yes, we'll take that.
Okay, the question says that in the Somanasa-Sahagata Loba Mula Chitta, there is this Pīti Cetasika. And the function of Pīti Cetasika is to create and spread the mind-born materiality, which is very very superior, the superior mind-born materiality throughout the body. This is the function of the Pīti Cetasika. So the question is, in this Somanasa-Sahagata Loba Mula Chitta, which is akusala, will it also produce this superior mind-born materiality?
Yeah, so it's basically, when they say superior, it means if you consider the sukha vedana or the pleasurable feeling, Pīti gives a more, a higher form of pleasure. So it's distinctively, it's different. It's not the same thing. So pleasurable feeling and Pīti is basically not the same thing. They're different. Pīti gives a more like a elated sort of like a higher sensation to the mind. That is why they are given as 2 separate entities. That again is why when you come to the jhanas, as you rise in each jhana from the first to the second, second to third, likewise, by the time they come to the 3rd jhana, the person who's developing these jhanas realize that Pīti is again a hindrance. You can't, in order to reach the highest jhana, you need to get rid of Pīti. And that is why they eliminate Pīti and go to the 4th jhana. And by the time they go to the 4th jhana, they realize that there is something even greater, and that is upekkhā vedana. So sukha again becomes inferior to upekkhā, and upekkhā is basically the highest level of feeling that you can acquire. So in the mundane world, we feel that sukha is the highest, like but when it comes to jhana, if you want to go to the highest level, you have to eliminate Pīti, you have to eliminate sukha, and upekkhā will be the highest jhana. So when it comes to, it is true that lobha chitta are akusala, and you can generate pleasure through doing akusala. But of course, the consequences will never be wholesome. It will never be pītisahagatā or sukhasahagatā. You will have, if you do a bad thing, a bad deed, even while generating Pīti or sukha, you will still have to pay with dukkhasahagatā, upekkhāsahagatā. The results will not be pleasurable, basically. So have I answered your question?
I think, Doctor, the question is, will there be like, because the arising of this Pīti will produce chittaja rupa. This chittaja rupa will spread throughout the body.
You mean the chittaja rupa? Yes.
So, and the understanding that the questioner has is that the Pīti will produce superior chittaja rupa, and it will spread all over the body. But if Pīti is arising in an akusala chitta, would it still produce superior chittaja rupa? I think that's the question.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it will still. I mean, at the time of generating this consciousness, it is generating Pīti and sukha. So the chittaja rupa that will arise will be in par with those feelings. Of course, later on, the kammaja rupa that they will get as a result of the vipakas, of course, will not be good. Again, you must understand that the chittaja rupa that you get through the sukhasahagatā akusala chitta, and then the chittaja rupa formed when you do good deeds, wholesome deeds. For example, the mahakusala, the rupas are very much different. So if you keep generating akusala, that will produce a different form of rupas compared to what you will generate when you're doing kusala. So that is why if you take a person who is doing a lot of akusala, their external appearance also will start to change. So even though they feel pleasure, the chittaja rupas are not entirely wholesome or superior. They only feel it as a pleasurable feeling, but what they are generating is basically not a wholesome thing. So the chittaja rupa also cannot be considered as superior. So there is definitely a difference between the chittaja rupa of the lobha mula chitta as opposed to the kusala chittaja rupa. Right. So the next lesson will be next Sunday on the 22nd of September.
下一堂课呢会在下个星期天9月22号。
We will now share merits.
现在来一起分享功德，回向功德。
I would like all of you to join. Akāsattā ca bhummattā deva naga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu sasanam. Chiran rakkantu desanam, chiran rakkantu mamparam. Itamme ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Itamme ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Itamme ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo sanna hotu Abhidhammatthasaṅgaha. idam me punyam asvakya aham hotu idam me punyam nibbanasya pachayo hotu mama punya bhavam sabba sankhanam vajjati Shanti sama punya bhagam nabantu Buddhasasanam chiranti Buddhasasanam chiranti sadhu sadhu
Very much, Doctor. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you. 感恩老师，老师辛苦了。
感恩老师，
感恩翻译老师，翻译老师辛苦了。
老师辛苦了。